Vashti in the waiting room. You got JW, whoever that is. For council, Alexander Spellman, and two other people with just
But not Kevin?
in the waiting room. What?
No,
There is
Kevin,
someone with
not-
iPhone, which I think Mr. Mack comes in on, but I don't know if it's worth risking it until we're ready to open it, and then we can just change his name later.
And we'll give it another minute. And Anthony, then if we could let in an iPhone guest.
Okay.
You got Brian Lee. And you got the announcements from the Orlando Airport being played in the background.
I tried to find the quietest place I could. I'm like stuck around a corner.
Got Dar. Smiling in that. Okay, let's let in iPhone guest. I think it may be Kevin. And we're almost live. It's a.
Hello, Kevin.
He's connecting the audio still.
Kevin, I see Kevin's face.
Yes,
There he is.
still connecting the audio. Give him a second. Okay,
Got me,
Kevin.
Joe?
Yeah, we can hear you now, Kevin. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yep.
Sometimes the audio just takes a few seconds to connect, so.
It's all good.
Okay, we got 8 people in the waiting room.
Okay, and we got about 15 seconds till 7:30. Okay, so I've got 7:30. Joe, we all ready to let everyone in?
Council President, are you ready?
Yes,
Okay, I'm gonna let him in and then I'll cue you about 10, a couple seconds after that when we're switch over the audio. So letting everyone in. Okay, still waiting for, looks like one more person to join. Okay, quiet and ready. I'm going to switch over the audio. Okay, we are live.
hi. Welcome to the East Brunswick Council meeting, June 28th, 2021. Good evening, everybody. I'm happy to announce that this will be our last Zoom meeting if the pandemic numbers remain the same. We will be meeting live at the municipal court starting June 12th at 7:30. All are welcome to attend. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing to remember those lives confirmed lost at the Surfside Building in Miami. There are still over 150 unaccounted for. Please rise for the allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag
of
the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all. Okay. Miss, can you please call the roll?
Councilman Bahal,
Here.
Councilman McAvoy,
Here.
Councilman Spadafino,
Here.
Councilman Wendell,
Here.
Council President Sullivan,
Here.
At previous council meetings, the meetings was disrupted by several callers Zoom bombing and shouting out racial and religious slurs in an effort to disrupt the meeting. Be advised that any attempts to disrupt an East Brunswick council meeting will be considered harassment, and your IP address or phone number will be turned over to the East Brunswick Police Department, and you will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by specifying time, date, location, and to the extent known, the agenda by posting a copy on the bulletin board located in the main lobby of the East Brunswick Municipal Building, providing a copy to the Home News and Sentinel newspapers, posting a copy on the township's website, and by filing a copy in the office of the township clerk, which will be entered in the minutes. The township is using the telephone meeting format in an effort to mitigate the chance of exposure to COVID-19. As a part of the township's ongoing effort to slow the rate of transmission and avoid overwhelming our treatment centers. The dial-in information and final agenda have been posted on the township website and are posted on EBTV for members of the public. In order to make sure a clear record of the meeting can be made and that all parties are heard in an organized fashion, all members of the public will be muted during the meeting. If a member of the public wishes to speak during any public comment portion, please press *9 in order to raise your hand to speak. We will unmute members of the public individually if they have their hand raised. When it is your turn to speak, you will hear a notification that you have been unmuted. It is at that time that you should begin to ask any questions you may have. You will have 3 minutes to speak, at the conclusion of which you will be muted again, and the council or administration will respond as necessary. Should you have any further comments or questions, the township council is always available by email and phone, and you can always call the mayor's office during normal operating hours. Each member of the public shall only have one opportunity to speak during each public portion. As the technology does not allow us to know if there are multiple callers on an individual line, we ask that if you wish to speak, that you dial in on a separate line so that we can recognize you as a separate individual. Thank you in advance for your patience while we use this technology to continue to move the township forward during this health emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Okay, there's no presentations, proclamations this evening, and there's no agenda session this evening. Moving on to the public hearings. A, ordinance 20-14, providing for various school capital improvements in and by the Township of East Brunswick in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey, pursuant to a shared service agreement with the East Brunswick Board of Education, appropriating $4,421,053. Therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $4,200,000 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof. May I have a motion? Oh,
So
Motion to
moved.
adopt.
okay.
Second by Councilman Wendell.
Okay, is there anyone from the public that would
We
like?
need a second. We need a second.
It was
Did get
Wendell.
a second.
Tim Wendell did.
Oh, I thought he did the motion. Sorry. Who did
And
the,
Council President, just for the record, it's 2114, not 2014.
Okay, thank
No
you.
problem. All good.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak on this and this alone? Seeing none, I close the public portion. Is there anyone from the council that would wish to speak on this?
Yes, Council President. Can you hear me, Council?
Yes.
Okay. I understand the bond ordinance and how the Board of Education will spend the money on capital improvement projects, namely HVAC systems, 15 new buses, classroom furniture totaling $4.4 million. But the question is, and I think the viewing public needs an explanation as to why the Board of Education comes to the council for such a large sum of money.
Council President, if you'd like, I'd be happy to explain that. Certainly the mayor or business administrator can jump in. It's been a long history. It's a good question, Councilman McAvoy. The answer is that the town has a much better bond rating and can borrow money at lower interest rates than can the school board. So by doing it this way, the school board saves money, which means the taxpayers of East Brunswick save money.
Thank you, Mr. Baker.
Anybody else from the council wish to speak on this ordinance and this ordinance alone? Seeing none, Ms. Perry, would you please call the roll?
Councilman Wendell,
Yes.
Councilman Spadafino,
Yes.
Councilman McAvoy,
Yes.
Councilman Bahal,
Yes.
Council President Sullivan,
Yes. Okay. Now, the next one is ordinance 21-16, prohibiting the operation of any class of cannabis business within the township of East Brunswick's geographical boundaries, amending chapter 228, zoning section 3, definitions and word usage, and section 229-4, prohibited uses of the revised general ordinance of the township of East Brunswick.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Baker, would you like to go over what the changes will be?
I'd be happy to talk about the process for the council. We do have a new council member and there are new members of the public on the phone. So state law requires that every time a municipality adopts a zoning ordinance, it has to first send that ordinance to the planning board for review, comment, and then return to the council, because the planning board is our designated expert on land use matters within the township. The council adopted this ordinance 2 weeks ago and referred it to the planning board. The planning board met last week and recommended a few minor changes to the ordinance, cleaning it up in one section, deleting 11 words, which I concurred with and actually recommended to the planning board attorney. And then in the conditional use section, adding to the existing prohibition on location of a medical marijuana facility with 1,000 feet of a public school, the planning board requested that it be also a private school, preschool, daycare facility, or school associated with the house of worship. So those are the minor changes. What this ordinance does do is give the town time to find out what the Cannabis Commission is going to develop in terms of rules and regulations. It is not taking a position with regard to whether we should or should not have any recreational marijuana uses in town. It simply is confirming that you can have medical marijuana uses in certain limited, medical marijuana sales in certain limited areas. And that's been on the books for probably 5 years, 4 or 5 years. And it's giving the town time to wait for the state commission that's developing the regulations to develop those regulations. Because the planning board sent back the regulations, if the council wishes to accept those regulations, there should be a motion to amend to accept the planning board's regulations. We then need a second. And because this is would then no longer be a second reading and public hearing, it would just be a first reading. There would not be a public hearing on this tonight. Instead, the public hearing would be at our first live meeting on July 12th. So if the council members are inclined to accept the revisions from the planning board, it would be a motion to amend the ordinance to accept the revisions. You'd need a second, and then you would vote on that ordinance.
Mr. Baker, can I ask a question? Just one simple question. In regard to the daycare uses. We're talking about child daycare, not adult daycare, correct?
That's correct, Council.
And we are going to stipulate,
Well,
That-
since we're doing that, since we're starting again, we can say preschool or child daycare and just insert the word
Okay.
child in front. And then if someone wanted to move it, they would move it with the planning board changes as well as with the insertion of the word child in front of daycare.
I would move that with the planning board changes and the insertion of the word child in front of daycare.
Second.
A second. Okay, Ms. Perry. could you-
All being that we're having the public hearing, this is just a motion to amend and have a public hearing.
Correct, Councilman.
Yes. All right.
Call the roll. Councilman Wendell,
Yes.
Councilman Spadafino,
Yes.
Councilman McAvoy,
Yes.
Councilman Bahal,
Yes.
Council President Sullivan,
Yes. Okay. And next we'll move on to reports. Mayor Cohen?
Thank you, Council President. Couple of items to update the public about. First of all, we're very proud of the fact that we kind of hit the trifecta this week in terms of East Brunswick sports. Our boys travel baseball team, the 10U and 11U teams both won their championships this week and will be proceeding on to states. We've got our men's track and field, high school track and field team that qualified for nationals. I believe they're actually on their way to Portland as we speak. And Sam Mattis, I believe a 2012, I could be wrong, maybe 2013, graduate of East Brunswick High School, qualified in discus to be competing in the Olympic Games in Tokyo.
Wow.
So I think we've got a lot of kids that have done East Brunswick proud, and I wish all of them, their families, and obviously the athletes our very best. We're really, really proud of them for their accomplishments. It just shows you that, hard work does really pay off. And these are just some great examples of that. Also, the county gives us periodic updates on our vaccination rates around the county. East Brunswick is now well above 70% vaccinated, which is the reason why you're seeing the township municipal offices are all open. The library intends to be open completely by July 1st, which is this week. And so, we're all finally, hopefully, starting to see this pandemic in the rearview mirror, which is great. Also wanted to thank the council for agreeing that the next meeting would be in person, but I think we need to, step back for a second and take a little bit of stock of what we've really been through. I want to thank the state, the department, the DCA, Department of Community Affairs, for putting in processes that allowed us over these last 15 months to be able to provide all of our public meetings and to allow the operations of government and all of our boards and agencies to continue in the transparent manner that we've said to the public we were going to do. We have opened those meetings up as is required by the state mandate, that all of them be done in a manner that keeps meetings open to everybody, just like they were when they were done in public. And judging from a lot of our attendance at many of these meetings, I could see that we've actually gotten, in many instances, more people appearing and knowing what's going on in the township than has ever happened before. So I think that, even in the midst of what was a terrible pandemic and everybody concentrating on the bad that occurred, there have been some very good things that have happened, and we've engaged a lot more people in the community than we ever were able to reach before through these mechanisms. So, we need to be appreciative of that, and I look forward to seeing everybody in public at the next council meeting. I believe that's July 12th. So, thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Joe Criscola, the business administrator.
Yeah, just a real quick item, just to remind the general public that Crystal Springs Water Park is open for operation. I believe that another banner day today. You can buy tickets the day before for the next day through the website, and naturally season pass are still available, and all that information is available on the recreation website. Thank you.
Thank you. Township Attorney, Mr. Baker.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to compliment the Board of Education, the high school, for the graduation ceremony, and congratulate the class of 2021 East Brunswick High School graduates, including my daughter. It's hard to believe that 46 years ago I graduated, and now my daughter graduated.
At the same place, I bet too, right?
Yeah, on the football field.
On
same
the
place.
field, yeah, yeah.
Especially since you're only 45.
That's right.
That's
Brought
where we
back
all
some
graduated.
memories.
Yeah.
Okay, Ms. Perry. Township
No, I don't
Clerk.
have anything. Thank you.
Okay, does any council person wish to speak?
If I may, Council President,
Yes, Councilman McAvoy.
with regard to going in person at our next meeting, and maybe Mr. Chris, maybe these questions should be directed to Mr. Crisculo. Is there a seating arrangement that's going to be marked off in our chamber where our meetings are held?
That could be the council's pleasure. I mean, there's no guidelines coming from the state that mandate that.
Okay.
We recommend that naturally people that are not vaccinated are highly, highly recommended to still remain masked, as the CDC and the State Department of Health recommends. That is 2 weeks away, and so certainly there could be a change in guidance up until then. So we'll take it as of today. That would be the situation, Councilman.
Okay, will the Zoom capability still be alive for those who don't want to come to the meeting but may want to watch?
What will be available is not over Zoom, but it will be available on EBTV.
Thank you, Mr. Crisculo.
Yeah,
Thank you, Council President.
thank you. Does anybody else from the council wish to speak at this time? Councilman Wendell?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, seeing none, I now am going to open up the public portion. Any member of the public that would like to speak, please press *9 to raise your hand. When it is your turn to speak, you will hear an announcement that you have been unmuted. At that time, please state your name and address and know that you have 3 minutes in which to make your comments. The council or the administration will respond if necessary after you have completed any comments or questions. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak?
Madam President, there's 2 members of the public. I am now recording their telephone numbers, now
Okay.
3. The first one is the last 4 digits of 8586. I will now be asking them to unmute.
Oh, there's a few people wanting to speak.
8586, you're now unmuted. Please address the council.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jeffrey Kingston. I'm at,
Could you please speak a little louder? We're having a hard time hearing you.
Okay, I'll holler at you. Jeff King, 24 Elizabeth Parkway, Eatontown. Pretty close. Like riding up and down 18, and you guys are like brother and sister towns here, I think. Just want to let you know that we do have a medical cannabis dispensary here in Eatontown, and it's operating pretty smooth, I would say, as a resident and local person who watched it being built with local contractors setting up the whole interior and being local people working there. It's kind of satisfying, I think. Not caused any trouble that I know of, and I've spoken with our mayor and council, and they were leery about traffic. That was their big concern on Highway 35 here. And actually, the fact that all the customers are by appointment was a surprise to them, but it was a pleasant surprise. There's zero real traffic impact in a negative way. Just to let you know about that. If that's what one of the things you're thinking about, it could be live, actually. That's what zoning boards and planning master plans are for, so we can find economic development assets for the community that fit the goals of the master plan. I believe you can do that. I'm pretty sure it's a large community. I went to Rutgers for a little while, didn't graduate, but I was up and down through there all the time, and I love it. I enjoy it. My friend worked at the Gucci Poochie, I guess, there on 18, and that's a nice business. So there's no reason why a dispensary couldn't operate along that corridor, in my opinion. I could be wrong. I don't really know. So I'm just asking, to keep your mind open to that. The upside to it, especially, serving patients who may not be able to get to an official medical dispensary, but this is an opportunity to get some medicine almost as well, if not better. Maybe if you get a good dispensary, if you let these entrepreneurs to get some local, get an organic operation. But it's not all about money, because we have Amazon breathing down our necks, and if we close the door now to the local people, Amazon will be the only one that will get in the end. So if you don't want any corporation, then please speak up for home growing rights, because the people did resoundingly vote for cannabis in New Jersey statewide. So the governor was bold as a candidate the first time around, and now he's kind of lost his nerve with respect to progressive cannabis policy. It's fair, it's fitting, it's right, it's libertarian, it's conservative, it's all the above, bipartisan. So please, whatever stripe you are, try to look at the upside of what this can do for our community, and think about how much we've lost in prohibition and how much we can restore and regain. So just as one side note, I am a big proponent also of hybrid meetings, continuing Zoom access for people who are homebound, who are suffering.
30
or
seconds,
just,
sir.
really busy and overwhelmed. So just keep in mind, you can help more people if you have more opportunity to hear what's going on. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next person with their hand raised is got the last four digits of 7285. Can I ask you to unmute?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
My name is Hugh Giordano, 57 Argyle, Blackwood, New Jersey. Council, I'm here as a member of the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, UFCW. We're a national labor union that represents 1.3 million hardworking families, and we are the official cannabis labor union under the guise of the AFL-CIO. I like to say that a ban is an attack against good jobs. These are living wage jobs, jobs that come with healthcare, dental, vision, sick time, paternity leave, retirement, and union benefits all through. That includes training and education as well. These are educated jobs, chemistry, horticulture, botany. These are real careers. These are careers that will create middle class opportunity. And not only that, the New Jersey Building Trades is also working in the build out and the retrofit of these facilities. So it's a shovel to sale union job. UFCW represents the seed to sale, and the building trades represent the retrofit and the build out. Also, you can check out the City of Bayonne ordinance. The City of Bayonne passed an ordinance that sets out legal fees, renewal fees, what they're going to accept, and also a merit-based system. So you could look at labor standards. If they treat workers bad in Illinois, they're going to treat workers bad in New Jersey. If they're going to treat workers bad if they're going to pollute the environment in Colorado, they're going to pollute the environment here in New Jersey. So Bayonne, the City of Bayonne passed a great ordinance 2.5 months ago. The commission is only looking at applications. you were given home rule by the state law. And yes, it was short time, but also it's been a big topic for 4 years. So if Bayonne can do it, everybody else can do it too. And it's a very conservative ordinance. I can also offer you a tour of the Garden State Dispensary in Woodbridge. It's a seed to sale dispensary. If you'd like to visit, you can bring the chief of police as well. Again, I'm from the UFCW, and we would ask that you not ban cannabis and accept pass the Bayonne ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next person with their hand raised has the last 4 digits of 8219. I've asked them to unmute.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Marina Redman, Rebmann. I live at 3 Borough Square, Parlin, New Jersey. And I'd also like to discuss medical cannabis for you guys to have a dispensary in your town. I'm a medical cannabis user for PTSD and for cancer. Between the ages of 1 and 4.5, I was diagnosed with a birth defect in my lower left leg. I had a bunch of surgeries. I went to a big New York City hospital. The nurses and everyone treated me there wonderfully. But my mother had to leave me there overnight. And just picture yourself 1, 2, 3, and 4 years old, having your parents walk away from you, having your mother walk away from you, and not being able to stay. And also picture yourself being that parent, seeing your child and having to walk away and not being able to, spend the night with them. And which was even worse was when I had to have surgery on my leg. I had to be rolled in there without my mother, without even my stuffed animal, which now they do things totally differently. And I'm so grateful for the children that they don't have to go through this. And then unfortunately, in 2017, I was diagnosed with cancer. In 3 weeks, I lost 50 pounds. It was horrible. I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink. Not until I got my medical cannabis card. Medical cannabis is such a beautiful thing. I was actually having, one of my oncologists was actually in East Brunswick. And when I would see her, when I would see my doctor, when I was going through treatments, chemo treatments, she would say, go smoke out in the parking lot. How many doctors tell you to go smoke medical cannabis out in the parking lot? And I would also I suffer from PTSD from having all these traumatic experiences with doctors in the medical field. And they also tell me, please smoke before you see me. They have Uber and Lyft is an added extra expense if we can't get our medical dispensary, if we can't get to it out of our medical dispensary that's in another town. Access Link is a nickname, Access Stink. It's just, we just need our medicine. You have 64 pediatric doctors in the state of New Jersey that prescribe medical cannabis, 10 pediatric doctors that prescribe medical cannabis. You have a minimum of 8 places in East Brunswick that prescribe medical cannabis. So wouldn't it make sense to help the people in your town who are going to see all these doctors to have a medical cannabis place to serve them, to help them live, to help them move on? So thank you so much for hearing me.
Thank you.
Council President, it's Mike Baker again. There seems to be some confusion in the public. I just want to clear that up. And I'm going to guess it's because there was a newspaper article that erroneously reported we're considering permitting or not permitting medical marijuana sales. The township currently permits medical marijuana dispensaries, and the ordinance that you voted on tonight permits medical marijuana dispensaries. So the folks on the call are concerned that's what we're discussing tonight, that's not what we're discussing. It's a permitted use in the town.
The next person with their hand raised has the last 4 digits of 0438. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Hello, yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm sorry. Good evening.
Hi, my name's Jamie Van Skyver. I'm of Paulsboro, New Jersey. I also am with Sativa Cross nonprofit. I would like to ask you to listen to your constituents. They voted for this. It's a constitutional amendment. It's a legal substance, and it can bring revenue to your community. We're talking about tax. Unfortunately, medical maybe. Maybe you would consider, if you were doing regular adult use, not taxing the medical patients and having some empathy and compassion for the medical people that are using this for life necessity. If you did consider not taking the tax from the medical, would you consider giving people better access to disability, access to your community? So at least represent the people, the medical people, the disabled and the sick, with the taxation money, that they'd be able to access the community as they should. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next,
Okay, the next one is got the last four digits of 1352. I'm going to ask them to unmute. $13.52.
Hello?
Yes.
hello,
Yes. My name is Camille Clark. I am, from what I've heard, the first East Brunswick resident to speak on this issue. Medical marijuana is fine. And have the dispensary. My husband, who died of bone cancer, had access to the facility in Cranberry, New Jersey. But if we're talking about the recreational use of cannabis, we don't have to open our doors to that stuff. We do not. Why do you think that in the state of New Jersey, liquor licenses are regulated? And there are so many, and they're precious to get. And now you've got a whole lobby. The first four speakers spoke, and they weren't residents of East Brunswick. Let us not talk about constituents. Let us speak of the residents of East Brunswick. Let us not allow this in our town. Period. Thank you.
thank you.
The next speaker I'll ask to unmute is David Herrera. David?
Good afternoon, good evening, council. I just am going to piggyback right off of what Camille said. We were the second person from East Brunswick to speak on this issue. It's nice to see this meeting actually full, because I've been a part of the last 4 council meetings where about 14 people were in the meeting. So it's good to see people in the town getting involved. I am not here to shoot down medical cannabis. I believe there's a ton of benefits to medical cannabis. We are here to talk about recreational use. And as per the meeting that I was involved in last week, we had members of the council who were not fully educated on what it would bring to our town, but voted on it because they did not want to miss a quote unquote revenue opportunity. And we've just had 4 people, which the testimonies were amazing, lobby from out of the town and tell us how we should operate inside of East Brunswick. Now, I implore the council and the mayor of East Brunswick, Mr. Brad Cohen, that if you are to move in a direction in which recreational marijuana is accepted, then you should sit with people of the community who have been directly affected by recreational drug usage. We used to be known as a town for blue ribbon schools, known as a town for quality of life. Do we want to be known as the town with weed shops? When we look at the towns that surround our neighborhoods that have stopped this ordinance and said they really don't know, it's not something that we can opt into later, correct, from what we've been listening to, but it is something that we cannot opt out of once we are in for 5 years. So I would implore Councilman McAvoy, Councilman Batal, any of these councilmen that are on here to sit with me as somebody who has 4 years in sobriety, who understands what recreational drugs do to families, what it does to communities, what it does to its constituents that the people who spoke before me claim to care about, what it does to the residents of the town. The tax dollars are not there. And the last concern of the town council right now should be how to create more tax revenue. We should be talking about how we're going to make East Brunswick a better town. Do you really think with the price of living in our town, with the taxes, the roads, everything going on here, that a weed dispensary is going to be the go-to that people want to move in here on? I implore that. I know you voted 3-2 no, but I am imploring you from the bottom of my heart as somebody. Let me ask you a question, because I've seen all of you in public, and I know you all have your campaign suits. You have your nice function suits. When I saw some of you in Edison, you all looked really dapper. Let me ask, how many members of the council have a funeral suit? I have mine in a closet that I wear. It's a black suit with a black tie and a black shirt ready to go. And inside the pocket is all the palm cards of all the funerals I've been to for the drug overdoses. New Jersey is one of the highest opioid epidemics in the country. And here we are talking about trying to recreationally legalize marijuana. I understand the people voted. We don't need to make people locked up for marijuana. I get that. But we have a pandemic. I'm not talking about COVID here. I'm talking about the people who died from suicide, the people who died from drug overdoses, the people who have died countlessly because we're overlooking them in terms of tax dollars. And our congressional woman in District 12 now is pushing the legislation to just decriminalize all drug usage. So if you don't think that marijuana dispensaries in East Brunswick is just a buffer to pave the way to doing this, then you guys are mistaken and you're blinded by the tax dollars. I don't speak for East Brunswick residents, all of us, but as you can see from the 45 participants, I brought a couple friends today. And I want you guys to have to explain to them why we're moving East Brunswick in that direction, instead of focusing on making sure we are still blue ribbon schools. We're talking about a blue ribbon from '95, like people used to talk about the Dallas Cowboys winning Super Bowls. We need to stay relevant in that aspect, not in the marijuana field. You could do with it what you want. My goal is to one day be sitting on this council, and hopefully my vote will mean something. But I hope that you guys take that into consideration before casting that ballot and you reconsider, because it's not about the money. It's about, we might put ourselves on a course that we cannot correct. We might put ourselves down a path that there is no coming back from in East Brunswick. I appreciate the time and I look forward to seeing you guys in person at the next meeting.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, the next person is Shannon Christine. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Hi, I apologize, my video isn't working. My name is Shannon Christie. I live on Dean Lane in East Brunswick. I am oh goodness, I don't even know how many generations East Brunswicker. My daughter is born here, and I don't know, on your way out of the municipal building, you can check the plaque. And if you see John Howe, that is my grandfather. He was a councilman. He started many of the programs, Camp Daisy, one of them in effect. I myself am a medical marijuana user. I suffer from chronic pain. I use a doctor who is also in East Brunswick. And with that being said, we should be known for our farm towns. Marijuana is a plant. Also, with that being said, if we have people who are coming here, our doctors, for our pharmacy, which that is, why would they not be going to get their other medicine from our farms? Because that is the other thing that they would be doing, because people who get clean medicine, they want clean food. So we would be keeping people in our community. We would be keeping people shopping in our local business. We would be keeping people here longer. That's what we want. My grandfather kept programs here that are still around. He kept people here. You can pull his obituary up and check it. I am still here today. I believe in this town. I do not know what's going on. We need to get the community back. We need people back. We are losing everything. I understand the taxes and the revenue, but we can do that in a different way. We can bring in people who want to heal, because our community needs to heal. We were just hit with a very hard time. We need to heal our children. We need to heal our people. And there's a safe and effective way to do that. addiction is a terrible thing. We just actually, if you pull up an article, June 1st, there was a doctor, Dr. Alexander, and I am sorry, but I cannot even attempt to say his name. He lost his license permanently due to the overprescriptions of opiates he was prescribing to patients. And you know what they were doing? They were coming here and they were using our pharmacies to fill their prescriptions of opiates. And you know what happened to some of them? I'm sure that they overdosed. Do we want to be known for that? Or do we not want to be known for patients who, like you just heard, were healing? We would be bringing in jobs for growers. People would be growing in our town again. We want to be known for a farm town, right? We want to be known for a community. We would be having people coming to Jim Marisi's farm to pick strawberries. We could be known for our festivals. We would be known for a lot of things. We could be growing our community with medical centers. If you just expand your minds and think about where we want to come from as a generation of healing, because that's what we're doing, and just listen to some of us and just open your minds from a different way, and maybe not so much in a way where you're thinking about getting rich fast and taxes, because you know what, I live here and the taxes have just been going up, and I've been seeing a lot of stuff. I know you guys got a really nice new municipal center that's being built, and I know there's a lot of low income houses that are coming in, and I know there's stuff going on and you guys are getting money, and I like it. But you know what? There's a lot of farms, and we should be known for some other stuff that has been here that we're not known for anymore. So there's another aspect that we're not tapping in. We're not grassrooted anymore. We can have people coming in and going to our parks. We got a butterfly park that is amazing. Why are we not showing that? Why are we not celebrating where we're from? So we have a whole thing that we can tap into by bringing people in to get clean medicine. So that's all I want to say, because I think you guys might be losing track a little bit of who we are and where we need to get back to. And maybe, you know, go outside in the sunshine and go to a farm and think about how people are healing and how we can heal them and get them in our communities, get them in our business, and bring taxes in a different way, and not think about, you know, getting people high on a different supply. We can be healing people in a dispensary and get some bids in and think about where we can be doing business in a different way, because that's what we do. And my grandfather had a dream, and that's still
30
going
seconds.
on. That's
30
fine.
seconds.
I'm done. And I hope that everybody has a great day. Stay safe. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Council President, the last one is 0682.
Okay, thank you.
Zero 0682, please unmute.
Okay, can you hear me, Council?
Yes, I
Yes.
can.
Okay, great, thank you. My name is Edward Lefty Grimes. I'm from sativacross.org. We're a 501c3 here in New Jersey, advocating for the sick and disabled and for cannabis patients' rights. And I also used to live above the Gucci Pooch on Route 18, right before the mall there. I lived there for 7 years. And I'm going to get back to that in a second because it is relevant. The tax that you're going to receive off medical cannabis, you are taking the tax, I believe, right? Is that correct?
You can continue with your statement, sir.
Okay, I believe you are taking the cannabis tax, and what I'm going to ask for is representation for that taxation. Wheelchair access in East Brunswick has a lot of room for growth, to put it nicely, and people in wheelchairs deserve that, because this is a tax on wheelchairs. It's a cancer tax. It's a tax on multiple sclerosis. They're not taxing any of your medications. They're not taxing any of your heart medications or your anxiety or insulin, but we're getting taxed. Insurance isn't covering our medicine. And we need help because the state tax us 7%, you're going to tax us 2%. What are we getting for that? Are you going to put wheelchair access in all those stores before the mall? Where I lived on the Gucci Pooch, you guys made the owner put a handicapped spot in, but you did not make them put in handicapped access to the building. You had no problem taking money for the handicap sign in the spot, but you really didn't care about the access, because if you did care about the access, the Gucci Pooch would have access today, but it doesn't, because you guys dropped the ball on that. Now you have a chance to use that wheelchair tax to do the right thing and help people that are sick and dying and in wheelchairs. Going past the mall is very dangerous in a wheelchair. You can't even get to the mall. So you definitely have an issue with that you need to fix. I ask you to spend a day in a wheelchair in East Brunswick. Tell me how that goes for you. And imagine what disabled war vets go through. It's not easy getting our medicine. And it's not easy when our medicine's stigmatized. They sell synthetic marijuana in stores. They don't have a problem with that. My friend Jay called me 2 weeks before he died. He said, Lefty, I saw how you got off all those pills. I need to get off all those pills. How do I do it? And I told him how to do it. You got to get a doctor. You got to jump over all these hoops. And it was much easier for him to get a bag of heroin on the street corner than it was to get on the medical cannabis program. And he died 2 weeks after that phone call. And it's not easy. It wasn't easy for me to get off opiates. I was on 90 milligrams of Roxy every 3 hours because of my back pain. My back pain is 7 out of 10. On a normal day, 7 out of 10. That's what I deal with. And I was able to get off those opiates using cannabis. But what I didn't know at the time is that I should have used suppositories and edibles and oils. All I did was smoke a bunch of cannabis. I would have made it a lot easier on myself, because getting off opiates is not easy. They don't make it easy. Cannabis made it easier. It took me 4 times. And my pain is horrible. So I'm not using opiates for fun. I'm using it for pain. And I'm able to maintain my horrible pain level on cannabis right now. So I appreciate you having a medical dispensary, and please use that tax wisely and give us representation for that taxation. Yeah, I went old school on you with that one, but it's very relevant today, especially when it comes to wheelchair access. We need representation, and we need a champion. We need people to help us. So thank you.
Thank you.
2 other people have raised
Just
their
going to say
hand.
that, okay.
There's a gentleman by the name of Parm Nagada, I believe. The print's very small, so.
You have to unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Param Migada, and I live at 2 Swallow Court, East Brunswick. I just want to let all of you know that thank you for allowing me to speak on this meeting. According to the Drug Abuse Government website, marijuana is the most commonly used drug after tobacco and alcohol. Its use is widespread among young people. In 2018, more than 11.8 million adults use marijuana. That's in 2018. So according to the study, the number of teens in 8th grade and 10th grade who say that they have used has increased. So with the growing number of the vaping devices, teens have started vaping THC. THC is the ingredient that is used in marijuana, that has a high product in that. So with nearly 4% of 12th graders saying that they vape THC daily, right? So in addition, the number of young people who are using regular marijuana, they think that is risky, right? That is decreasing. So that information is scary. So I think by allowing marijuana in our neighborhood, we are allowing the kids, the community to be more prone to crime. And I would strongly suggest not to have that in our neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Okay, the last person with their hand raised is used by the name of Dar's iPhone. Go ahead, Dar.
Yeah, hi. This is Dar Kona, 3 Robin Court. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak. Good evening, everyone. A lot of great responses from a lot of people. I would ask the council members to take it with a grain of salt, listening to people who have a vested interest in the marijuana business. I do not advocate removing marijuana for health reasons. I think we've already had this discussion in town. I don't think anyone opposed it, to my knowledge. There are concerns with traffic, which I think really should be taken into consideration, because the gentleman who spoke at the very beginning said traffic was not an issue where he is at in Eatontown, but I can tell you traffic is a major concern in many, many other places. Quite a few other people have voiced their opinion with regards to the effects of marijuana and how it affects our children. And this is a very, very big decision, and it really should be a township-wide decision, and it shouldn't be a decision based on 5 individuals. And not to say that the 5 individuals don't have significant ability to make a decision, but I think this is a very large topic with ramifications. I would like to see whatever information data is brought before the council, that the council will consider for this vote ultimately be presented to the township residents for consideration when this public discussion does occur. I think it would be important to make sure that we're all part of the discussion. We're all well aware of the facts, and we should, as 2 previous speakers did speak to, we really should involve discussions with people who have struggled with addiction. And the gentleman, 2 gentlemen before me who spoke about the tax on people who actually need this for medical reasons and us doing right by them with regards to ADA compliance, I would agree with him. If we are taxing at the current rate medical use of marijuana, we really should consider putting some of that tax money back into providing assistance to those who actually do need it. I have many friends who do use it for medical reasons. They have seen tremendous benefits from it. They're paying taxes on it. And I think they should see some of that benefit. But we should also talk to people who have recovered from and are still recovering from narcotics addiction and abuse. And we should weigh that very, very carefully. We are a town known for our schools. We are a child-centric town. This is not a discussion that should be taken lightly in any town for that matter, but we have a lot to consider with regards to that. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody now, any other hands up? I don't see any.
There's 2 other hand up. I'd have to ask the public, if you do want to speak, to raise your hand and keep in the queue. Right now, we got a last 4 digits of 3199.
Okay, all right, thank you. I didn't see that.
There's 1 more person after that.
Okay.
Go ahead, 3199.
I can't hear you, 3199, if you're talking.
They didn't, I asked them to unmute, they did not unmute.
Okay. Okay,
I will ask them 1 more time and then we'll proceed to the next person. They haven't unmuted. We can go to Alexander Spellman. Alexander, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Good evening, members of the council. My name is Alexander Spielman, 6 Douglas Road, East Brunswick. I wanted to talk about the measures that were brought forward about medical use of cannabis. I'm for the use medically for it, but I also believe that we need to bring this forward to the town in some form of referendum of some form. It is a major decision, and it's also a long-lasting situation. Also, when it comes to this, according to the Controlled Substance Act, cannabis is a Schedule I drug, which clearly means that it has no medical use whatsoever, though we also have it as a medical system. So there is some contradictions on how we are currently defining cannabis. The only thing I really wanted to have the council consider was for this to be brought up for the town due to its wide-ranging effects, and that if there is going to be a tax on that, that there will be some form of compensation for people who are actually using it for their medical use. So for example, like ADA support for the wheelchairs, like they were saying, but also for possibly the investment of mental health and people who are dealing with substance abuse, so that that money can be used to help those who are dealing with the high tax, the high cost of dealing with obtaining sobriety and just the general struggles of dealing with substance abuse. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see anybody else. Is that true, Mr. Criscuolo?
That is true.
Okay. At this point, I'm closing the public portion. And I'm going to now the consent agenda. I am going to pull E, and we'll do that on the next meeting. Is there anyone else that wants something separated or pulled?
F,
F, did you say?
yes,
Okay. Do you want it separated, correct?
yes.
Okay. Anybody else? Seeing none, I'm going to ask a motion for A through D.
Motion to adopt, Councilman
And
Wendell.
read A through D and G through N.
Oh, okay, I was gonna do it separately. Okay,
Nope.
A through E.
No, let's do it all at one time.
Okay, A through E and G through N.
Correct.
Council-
I have my motion.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a second?
I think Councilman Bahal made a second.
Okay, great. Okay,
Roll.
Perry, please call the roll.
Thank you. Councilman Wendell,
Yes.
Councilman Spadafino,
Yes.
Councilman McAvoy,
Yes.
Councilman Bahal,
Yes. Got my bag.
Council President Sullivan,
Yes.
Didn't make the first plane. Okay. I never did it. Just wait.
Okay. Mr. McAvoy, can you, F is authorized execution developers agreement with IQRA Community Services. What is your question?
Yeah, there was a lot of information contained in our packet. I just would like to hear any further explanation that maybe Mr. Criscuolo could offer, Mr. Baker could offer.
Council President Mike Baker, I think that's probably me.
Okay.
Council members and the public. The town over the past few years, as many towns have done, has started to have what they call developers agreement after a project has been approved by the planning board. Usually they're used if it's a complex project, a large project, or if there are a lot of questions for how things are going to work after the project is developed. In this case, it relates to a development for a new religious facility within town, and part of the planning board's approval required that the not-for-profit religious developer have a developer's agreement with the township to spell out things and to make sure that there's an agreement with the town and the town can enforce it. By way of example, it's a new and large facility. It's a 2-lane road. It's not that wide, and it's surrounded by residential neighborhoods. So one of the things that the planning board required as part of its approval was that within 6 months, the site operators, the facility, and the police department would conduct a study to see what, if any, police officers were needed to help monitor the traffic and how often they would be monitored to the traffic and what would happen on their bigger religious holidays with regard to traffic safety. Also occupancy requirements and the like. So it's a way for the town to help the planning board enforce the terms of an approval is probably the simplest way to describe it.
I find it rather interesting that it sort of seems like the reverse way that we normally go about approving construction via planning board approval. Meaning to say, or clarifying what I mean is, the planning board got this, and now they're sending it to us for us to approve what they have already approved. At the same time, the text of what I read is saying that everything is, shall we say, okay. Am I correct, Mr. Baker?
Yeah, correct, Councilman. And 20 years ago, nobody did these. In the ensuing years, there were some difficulties. Sort of, the planning board doesn't have enforcement powers. So towns started having direct contracts with the developers, where the developer would agree to do what they've already agreed to do at the planning board, and then the township can insist in the enforcement. It may be like putting galoshes on over your rubber boots, but it is now the trend in most larger towns with a more unusual or more complex projects.
And I noticed in my reading that, and you mentioned it as well, that the police department was involved in the planning / question and answers. So they're happy with the direction that this is going.
Yes, police department has to analyze and comment on applications such as this at the time of the planning board. And they're aware of the requirements in here because they're similar to what's in the planning board approval.
How often do you see, Mr. Baker, these so-called developers agreements pass through East Brunswick?
I think this is the second or third one that I have seen in the last 5 years, Councilman. So again, it's the exception, not the rule.
Got it. Thank you, Mr. Baker. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Do I have does anyone else have any questions on it? Any other council people? Seeing none, may I have a motion for letter F?
Motion to adopt, Councilman Wendell.
Thank you.
Second, McAvoy.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Perry, could you please call the roll?
Councilman Wendell,
Yes.
Councilman Spadafino,
Yes.
Councilman McAvoy,
Yes.
Councilman Bahal,
Yes.
and Council President Sullivan.
Yes. Okay. Ordinances requiring a public hearing date of June 12th, 2021.
July 12th.
The first time will be live in a while. Ordinance Ordinance 20-17, amending chapters 228, Article 26, regulation applicable in all districts, zoning of the Township of East Brunswick, which are the EVCS charging stations. And
Can we have a motion?
Can I have a motion? I'm sorry. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to adopt.
Can I have a second? I'll second.
Second by Councilman Wendell.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we get an
Okay.
explanation, Council President?
An explanation. Okay.
Yes, this
So-
was This was to clarify the ordinance that requires electronic vehicle charging stations. This request came up from the planning department. I think there's some of the applications that are coming to the planning and zoning board, and she wanted to further clarify and codify in our ordinances what exactly they need to do in
Do I just
particular.
get my car
situations.
like normal with 5-star? Wendell? Oh, the board's over there? Oh, okay, I didn't see it.
Sorry for that interruption, Mr. Christula.
Yeah, that's okay. So, but it's for clarification of the electric charging stations that we're requiring developers and or new applicants in the town, as
Got it.
recommended by the planning department.
So-
Likewise, the next ordinance, pretty much the same thing, to clarify and codify the section on striping in particular parking lots, and that request came from our planner as well, to clarify to people exactly what they need to do, Councilman.
Got it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Can you please call the roll on that?
We need a yes.
we did.
Councilman Wendell,
Yes.
Councilman Spadafino,
Yes.
Councilman McAvoy,
Yes.
Councilman Bahal,
Yes.
Council President Sullivan,
Yes. Okay, and ordinance 21-18, amending chapter 192, article 4, design and performance standards applicable to all development zoning of the township of East Brunswick, which includes parking and striping, as Mr. Criscolo said. Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve. I second it.
Okay. Any council person have any questions? Okay, Ms. Perry, could you please call the roll?
Councilman Wendell,
Yes.
Councilman Spadafino,
Yes.
Councilman McAvoy,
Yes.
Councilman Bahal,
Yes.
Council President Sullivan,
Yes. Okay, for the good of the cause, does any council people have anything for the good of the cause?
Yeah, I got my bags.
Okay,
And I got,
Jimmy, you're coming in garbled. I had to mute you.
okay. Anybody else have anything?
I just want to clarify one thing that was said during the public portion. Somebody insinuated that we make money on handicap signs in parking lots. We don't sell the signs to people. They are purchased by the developer and installed by the developer, and they just need to make the requirement. We do not sell them the signs, and we do not make money on signage for handicap parking spots. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you.
Can you also clarify what the requirements are in terms of requiring handicapped accessibility to buildings vis-a-vis the 1991 American with Disabilities Act, that buildings before 1991 didn't have to comply, and that anything new, even if it's a suite within a building, does need to comply, and we have no authority as a town to require the builder or the owner of the actual property to make those changes. And while I may agree or disagree that that's something that should be done, but that's not a township responsibility, nor is it within the purview of the construction department to demand that. That would be something I would believe needs to be authorized, approved, and legislated at the state level.
That is correct. And whenever an intersection is updated, the same requirement holds true to do full handicap accessibility. But if it's installed prior to that, and if we were to install sidewalks in those areas, naturally, we would give full handicap accessibility on those corners. And any of the projects that are funded from the state DOT Transportation Trust Fund. It is a requirement. So that's why you may see in some areas where they've been included. Good point, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, and just to remind everybody, pending any special circumstances, the council meetings will be live at the municipal court on Monday, July 12th, starting at 7:30. Anybody else have anything?
Happy 4th of July.
That's right, happy 4th of July. And remember, we have our fireworks starting at 6:30 with a band. It should be a lot of fun. Okay.
At Community Arts Center, just want to make sure everybody knows where it's Community Arts Center.
Okay.
Police will be out there directing traffic. And we really want to look forward to having people get back in person. So while it was originally supposed to have been just a drive-in, but with relaxation of the requirements, we've actually, and the vaccination rate being up so high, we've converted it to a regular 4th of July like we've always had. And I just ask that people be patient when they leave. We're going to have thousands of people that are in that same spot, all leaving at the same time. So we just need to be patient. There's only 2 roads in and out of there. And while the police will be directing traffic, it's likely to take some time getting out of the Community Arts Center. But we look forward to seeing everybody there on the 4th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ray, motion to adjourn.
Everybody wants to stay.
I make the motion to adjourn.
Councilmember Hall, second?
Second.
Thanks.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. See everyone on the 12th.